welcome to BizJet TV. My name is Fabrizio Poli, and today in this episode we're going to be talking about travel bans and private jets. We're going to look into an interesting case that happened where some people were denied entry into a country as they arrived on a private jet, and also we're going to be talking about what's happening in airports as far as, traveling from A to B and that. So some interesting content for you today. If you haven't subscribed to BizJet TV, this is a channel all about business aviation and lots of other things as well in the aerospace sector. So there's lots of content on here, so I encourage you, once you've finished watching this episode, to have a look around, subscribe, give us a thumbs up and comment below. Any suggestions will be more than welcome. And that's all from me on this intro. Let's get straight into today's episode about travel bans and private jets. Off we go. So what's happening with the travelling by air right now? I heard a really interesting story this morning, talking to a friend of mine. He was talking about a friend of his who flew from Manchester in England to Palma de Mallorca the other day. This person arrived at the airport, and from parking the car to actually getting to the gate took them actually 5 hours because of all the checks and this and the lines, whatever. Finally got onto the aeroplane. There were only 51 people on the aeroplane to do a 2-hour 20 flight to Palma de Mallorca. What he didn't tell me how long it took him once they landed to actually get out of the airport, but I should imagine there were other checks. Probably took a couple of hours to get, if not 2 or 3 hours to get out of the airport. So there you are, you're 5 hours at one end, 3 hours at the other. It's 8 hours to do a 2-hour 20 flight. So more and more people are looking at travelling by private jet. Those that can afford it are certainly looking at doing that. And one group of people actually thought it would be a good idea for all 10 of them to get onto a private jet over at Eagle County Airport, Regional Airport in Colorado, and fly all the way to Cagliari on the island of Sardinia in Italy. They landed. 5 of the 10 passengers were US citizens. They were denied entry into Italy. The other passengers were from New Zealand, the UK and Italy. They were allowed to enter the country but had to do a 14-day quarantine. Eventually, after being detained at the airport for a number of hours and treated like criminals, as one of the passengers said, they all elected to shoot back to the US. Now, this was a very, very expensive flight. Must have cost them in the region of about $200,000, which is $20,000 each, to then get to Italy and find out that they couldn't actually enter the country. Now, I honestly don't know how this flight happened, because, if you're chartering a private jet, make sure that you can actually travel to the country you're going to. Now, it is responsibility of the private jet operator to figure this one out. Look at the passports of the passengers and see who's allowed in and who isn't. Now, I think it's a bit silly to say, okay, 10 people coming from America, the 5 Americans are not allowed into Italy, but the other 5 can. Now, they're all 10 of them are human beings. They could have all had the virus, or none of them had the virus. I mean, what's the difference? Just because one has an American passport and one has a UK passport, the UK passport holder is allowed in and the US isn't? I mean, what if the UK passport holder has the coronavirus? But, these are rules that I don't make. So what I'm just saying to you is, if you do decide to charter, because, we see airline travel, as I did say a few videos ago, that it was going to become an absolute nightmare, and this nightmare is not going away. It's just going to get worse. Any of you that's watching this that used to travel by air before 9/11, before September 2001, you know what it was like. I mean, I was flying as an airline pilot before then and after, and we used to have sometimes passengers sit on the jump seat and enjoy the landing. We could do that. I had some of my relatives, I had my wife on a flight once. In fact, I was the first person to land at Zurich Airport in the year 2000, January 1st, and my wife was on the jump seat. You could do that back then, and then air travel changed because of the terrorist attacks at 9/11. Well, air travel's changing now because of the virus. And don't think about social distancing on an airliner, because that's not going to happen. I mean, I know some airlines are blocking the middle row, but that's still not going to social distance you, because you could be sitting in first class in row 1, but the guy in row 200 suddenly sneezes, and guess what? That air is recirculated in the cabin. I don't care what the airlines tell you, the air is recirculated in the cabin, and if you are on the same aeroplane as someone with a virus, guess what? You're probably going to catch it too. So that's a reality. So just going back to, traveling by private jet right now, just make sure that you can actually travel, depending on what passport you hold, from where you are to where you want to go. Check. And if you are a private jet operator, please don't operate flights all the way across the Atlantic to then land and your passengers suddenly discover that they can't enter the country. I mean, there must be a massive lawsuit going on now, because who's going to pay for that flight? $200,000 is a lot of money. So anyway, so post below what you think about all this. what's happening. The world's going crazy. What's going to happen to air travel? Are you thinking of getting a private jet? Are you interested in getting a private jet or maybe leasing one? You can ping me on email and I'll schedule you in for a call. Let's talk about your needs and see what we can do here. And if you haven't subscribed to BizJet TV, I encourage you to subscribe to this channel and give us a thumbs up. And that's all from Fabrizio Poli on BizJet TV, and I'll see you on the next one.